Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have Jon Cumberworth with Acting Executives. Good morning and welcome, Jon.
How you doing, Ken? Glad to be here.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself and about your company and what you do and what's your benefits.
Yeah, so a little bit of a unique journey into the legal field, but I was a strategic salesperson and general manager in the oil and gas industry for quite a while, overseas in Dubai and in Houston, and taking that kind of supply chain experience and sales experience, I started a business with a friend of mine here in Austin called Client Chat Live, and we did live chat for law firms. So I took that business over in about 2015 as CEO, developed the product, developed the systems, sales, that bootstrapped entrepreneur life that I know a lot of law firm owners experience, and was able to grow that, worked with over 600 law firms, had a good exit with Alert Communications, their parent company. So transitioned from the legal tech world into fractional COO work. So what we do is provide fractional executives, myself is working with law firm owners, business owners that help them create their vision, but also help them execute that vision, build a team, hire the right people, how to put in systems and processes, playbooks, if you will. So intake playbooks, marketing playbooks, technology playbooks, how to hire vendors. So I'd love to say that I specialize in something, but more of a generalist, helping out how finance works with marketing, how marketing works with intake, and really just how to grow a business. So love working with law firm owners and helping them do that.
So, through the different stages of growth with law firms, we sometimes use the word office manager, firm administrator, director of operations, COO. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of tell us the difference in what their different roles are and why a COO is different than an office manager?
Yeah, on the COO side, it's definitely a lot more strategic and high level. And what I mean by that is, you've talked a lot about in other podcast episodes with marketing USPs. What's your unique selling proposition? What makes you unique? As far as running a business, you have to do that internally as well. So you have to have a vision as an owner, as a CEO, as a partner of where you want your business to go. And a lot of times the visionary isn't the person that's going to help execute plans on how to actually achieve that vision. So, firm administrator, I think, can help do a lot of those things, but probably not as high level strategic as far as combining all of the different divisions of a business to scale. Yeah. It's more about let's handle what we have right now, and how do we make things work right now. The COO level, the C level, is going to be more strategic, long term. How do we make this vision a reality?
So what I'm guessing is you come into play when somebody's probably not got enough revenue to justify a full-time COO, which can cost, I've seen them go for law firms anywhere from 120 to 250,000 a year. Like, when you're looking at people, what do you think like the ideal fit for you is? Like, is it the size of the law firm, or is it the revenue they're generating?
Yeah, great question.
What's the sweet spot that you feel like you give the best until they get to where they need a full-time COO?
That's a great question. It's a little bit of both on the revenue and size-wise. And you've seen it. A PI firm can have, one or two attorneys and get to that seven-figure mark with some of the right cases. But I would say that sweet spot is between 10 and 50 employees and team members. And doesn't have to be in-house employees. That could be vendors. That could be, contractors that are overseas and things like that. So really it's when you have that team, that seven-figure revenue mark is probably that kind of plateau or that key. So once you hit that mark, you've been able to show that you can get clients, you can bring in potential clients, and you can serve them. It's that point where you've got, okay, now you've got two paralegals or three paralegals instead of just one. You need systems and consistency amongst what people are doing. So you can't have people doing their own thing. So that 7-figure mark, that 20 employee mark, also you've got a point where as a business owner, and I was there, you hit that level of, okay, I don't really know what to do next. I know I need to keep the sales machine going. I need the marketing machine to keep going, but how do I hire the right people? I can't keep the right people. So it's really about team building and how you put the right people in place. And owners that have had that problem before, that's where I can come in and help, and our team can come in and help.
And that's where I see the biggest problem, John. Is two things I see biggest problems with firms trying to scale up. On the marketing side, it's actually the intake department, but
Yep.
on the business side, it's creating the systems and processes. I call it scalability and implementing this stuff. And they know they need it, but the deal is, like you say, they're more entrepreneurs or they're practicing law, and they don't have anybody underneath them it's got to know how to do it. I mean, because the deal is the scale, you've got to have this in place. You got to have a hiring system. You got your case management system, but how about a marketing system? How about HR system? I mean, training system for your new staff. Being
Yep.
able to know when do you need to hire somebody. There's a lot of things that people get so busy tied up in their practice that I don't think they see the forest for the trees. Does that make sense?
For sure. It's that going from fire to fire.
Yeah.
And we've all been, as business owners, we've been there. Everything's burning. Which one's burning hottest? That's where I'm focusing my attention. And so there's definitely you've got to fight fires, but then how do you prevent that fire from coming back again? What can you do in that and systematize that? And for me, it was creating that clarity of where I wanted my business to go. Once I had that, and that took, some exercises. What do I want to be in 10 years? Some of the classic stuff.
Yeah.
A great book that I used was The 3 Hag Way.
Yeah.
It's similar to EOS, like traction, but helps identify what's your vision, your purpose, your mission. But then also, what are your core values? Not what do you want to be when you grow up, but what are you right now? What do you value as a team member, as a leader, as a business owner?
Yeah.
That clarity was massive and helped me hiring people and running my business.
Yeah, I always like to look at 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Yeah, it's like you say, what do I want to be? What do I want to look like? Not just revenues, but what are people going to be saying about my law firm and me? What are we going to be known for in the community, nationally, statewide, nationally? And that's important. If you don't know where you're going, how can you get there, right?
Exactly. It's one of those, we've all had team members, and we have those days where it's like, why couldn't they just execute this? Why couldn't they just handle that call like this?
Yeah.
And and you go back to, if you're the business owner and you don't even know where you want to go, how is everybody else going to know where to go? So you really got to get clarity. And then how do you not just create that clarity, but then how do you communicate it consistently? That's the key. People want that as well in their day to day.
Yeah. So you also, before we started this thing, I was talking to you, you said you also have access to fractional CFOs, fractional CMOs, things like that.
Exactly. So I know when I get into a business or a law firm, they may need something more on the financial side. I'm capable of looking at that, but just more on a high level. I know a lot of great CFOs that are out there that work fractionally and focus on law firms. Same for CMOs as well.
And CMO, for those who don't know, is Chief Marketing Officer, Chief Financial Officer, and CEO is Chief Operation Officer, I guess.
Operating Officer, Operations Officer. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard some people call him Director of Operations. I know if I'm sitting out there listening to this, I'm thinking, well, this all sounds good, John, but how can you help me part-time? I mean, I need, how can you really help me grow when you're only working with me a fraction of the time, I guess, no pun intended.
Yeah, for sure. So it's all about frameworks, and it's all about consistency. So again, we go back to that clarity. When we work together, there's an initial deep dive, an initial 2-3 days. I want to get to know you. I want to know if you want to take over multiple states. Do you just want to be really focused, say, in Austin and the surrounding area? What is your goal as a business owner? What's your vision? From there, it's, okay, here's how we're going to do our meetings. Weekly staff meeting, one-on-ones with team members. Here's how we're going to look at the organizational chart. So we're putting in frameworks that ideally would work the CEO or the partner kind of out of the day to day. So it's not an immediate, I mean, if you hire somebody full time, they're going to be after it full time. But a lot of smaller firms don't need that, or that middle kind of, that 7-figure time. So one day a week doesn't mean I'm not answering the phone, Tuesday through Friday. One day a week means we're adding stuff to the agenda for the next week to address. We're looking at putting in frameworks for your existing team and leadership team to start to communicate that vision, to start to hold team members accountable, to start identifying who the right people are on the bus. So it's me providing that framework. Ideally, I'd love to work myself out of a job, right? So if 3 to 6 months later, that business has frameworks, maybe they've promoted somebody to more of an operations director role because they have those frameworks to be able to communicate and to hold people accountable in their roles.
And so and I guess it's different depending on what they're wanting, but like what is this going to cost a law firm?
Yeah, it depends on the size, but typically about between 5,000 and 7,000 per month. And that's again for deep dive, one full day per week. We do also provide playbook generation, so more of a one-off, one time, where it's a 2 to 3 day deep dive. Say intake playbook, you want to redo your intake system, like a little intake makeover. We can help do that as well. So if it's not the entire Apple, I don't need my whole business to be redone. I just need a hiring playbook. I need a retention playbook. I need an intake playbook. We can do that as well.
Well, what I found, and I stopped this year, but I've been doing consulting work for 15 years. And if you just give them the playbook, you got a 50-50 shot they're going to do it. I'll just be honest with you. I mean, I'm telling my listeners out there, you have the best, what is it? Road to hell's played with the best intentions, but they don't, it just don't work out because life gets in the way, business gets in the way, the fires get in the way. If I was going to hire you, I'd hire you, for at least 6 months, maybe a year, until I could find that person or whatever, or train somebody within. Maybe you might see that person. You might say, this person I think they got the skill set to do this, or maybe they got to go outside. But the deal is, if you can get you for 5 to 7 a month, that's about half price of a full-time. And maybe you don't need a full-time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can have all that in the world, but if you ain't got the people, the manpower to implement everything, then you don't really need a full. You know what? I don't know.
I mean, the intro to your podcast is about growth, profitability, and freedom, right? Creating that for the business owners, for the law firm owners. And sometimes those come in, stages, the growth first, then the profitability, and then the freedom. But for me, when I was running my business, and this goes back to when I was running the location in Dubai for steel supply chain, it was when I had clarity of who we served, what types of products and services specifically, and we really stayed to that core. That for me gave me the opportunity to look at, okay, what's our inventory? What do we actually provide? Can I get it cheaper, but keep that same quality? Can I adjust that? That leads to that profitability. So really getting clear on where you're going and who you serve is key. So I can go into a business and probably cut 15% of the expenses pretty quickly. They may not want that. It may be like, I want to grow by 15% as opposed to cut. So there's all kinds of technology out there, all kinds of automation, AI, obviously. I'm in chat GPT every day.
Yeah.
So you can look at it as a business owner and say, I want to be more profitable, but I want to be more free. And so I don't want to cut heads and then have to do everything myself. But, you can use technology. You can do things to be more efficient and give your team the opportunity to add more value as opposed to focusing on admin tasks or data entry, things like that.
Yeah, you can add more clients without having to add more staff if you're more efficient, which means increases your bottom line. And that's, so I like this. This is a good program.
I know you've talked recently about, offshoring or finding people near shore, and there's quite a few, companies that focus on that. There's platforms out there that do that. For me, I honestly think AI and having the opportunity to give your team members the ability to, add value to their day-to-day not just drafting emails and things. I don't really like that, but it's more about summarizing notes, getting things ready for meetings, doing data analysis, like using AI to do that, recording calls and grading calls so that you're not having to sit and review and listen to intake calls.
Yeah,
There's so many things out there to make us more efficient.
I agree. I agree. So if somebody's thinking about what kind of questions they need to be asking themselves if they're thinking they might need it, but they're not quite sure, what kind of
Yeah.
questions should they be asking themselves?
So I tell people, if you hear a law firm owner or business owner say, I want to take my business to the next level, but I don't know how. Next level could be, going from 1 to 10 million for them, or 1 to 2 million, or 500K to 1 million. So it's really subjective. They don't know how, meaning I don't have the frameworks or the experience to do that. That's one. The second for me is I can't find and retain great people. There are great people out there. Unemployment's been low for a long time. It's been very competitive, but there are certain ways to post jobs, hire people, interview, test, all those things to where they're more of a core values fit. So if someone's saying, I can't hire and retain good people, I'd love to chat with them. So there are ways to do that. I had to look at myself as a business owner and say, oh, it's not them, it's me. I'm not conveying a clear vision, or I'm telling them something that's not reality.
That is one of the biggest problems. I mean, I talk to lawyers every day, and deal with the masterminds. And that is one of the major problems they're having right now is finding and keeping great help. And,
Yeah.
I've always said, the more A players you can have on your, even if you got to pay them more, they'll do 2 or 3 times as much work and give you 0% headaches compared to the other ones. But it's hard to put all A players, but if you could get 50, 60% of your people A players. I mean, Vern Harness said it, the guy that wrote Rockefeller Habits of Scaling Up. He said, no great business was built on the back of average employees. And I've watched some of our mastermind members, and I'm telling you, there's 2 consistent things. They know how to market, and they have really good people. They know how to hire, and they know how to keep really good people. I mean, and they don't have to be the smartest lawyers either. The deal, I mean, most of them are very smart, but you don't have to be. The deal is you can hire people smarter than you are on certain things and delegate. I mean, that's the key. I was reading a book, and I think the other thing, I wrote an article on it for the magazine this week, but I think mindset's got a lot to do with it. People always said, well, you got to have, you got to be focused and disciplined, because entrepreneurs tend to next shiny object, right? I've been guilty of it all my life. You got to really put the blinders on and figure out, like you say, get clarity, put the blinders on and go, and don't get sidetracked. But I also think the base of it is you got to have a growth mindset. I mean, people that are on fixed mindsets, well, I don't know how to do this. I can't do this, da, da, da. Otherwise, and they're afraid of failure. It's like some people might be afraid to hire you. I mean, the deal is you don't know till you try, right?
Exactly. Well, that's the benefit of hiring fractional as opposed to committing to somebody full time. You don't have to pay the taxes, the benefits, everything like that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it's okay.
Yeah.
We do offer guarantees as well.
Do you?
We do. So if, after that deep dive, if it's not a fit, all good. You don't have to continue. We're good. You can keep the playbook, keep the frameworks, keep what we provide to you, and we'll go our separate ways. But
that tells me you believe in your service. Do you believe in it? I mean, that's what I've always done with Pilma, is I always give 100% money back because I have confidence in what we provide works. Of course, the other person's got to take it and do something with it. But the deal is, I can't control that part of it. But to me, I feel good about what we got. I mean, and I've just always done it that way.
The execution's the key. I joined an entrepreneurs group years ago when I was running Client Chat Live, and it was amazing. Every quarter, people would come back to the meetings, and it's like, are you doing the one-on-ones? Oh, I need to start doing that. Are you doing the annual planning? Oh, I'm going to hunker down this time. And it was amazing to me that these folks have been in this group for years. Not for years. They were in that group and they weren't committing to what they were learning and executing. So, I played basketball in college, love basketball, and I always equate things to sports for the most part, but we have our offense and I could give you our playbook it doesn't matter if we run our plays the right way. A pick and roll's coming, a screen's coming. You can't stop it if we do it right, if we execute it well.
Right. I agree. So is there anything I haven't asked you that I should ask you, Jon?
I don't think so, other than, I really think there should be more open-mindedness on technology. And I say that meaning, so when we did live chat, it was 2008, early on, and it was, I don't like live chat, so I'm not going to have it on my website. Fair, I get that. But more and more of the general public, they wanted to chat, they wanted to text, they wanted to communicate differently. And so I know we're going to a place where AI is going to start taking over. There's an adoption of, okay, we'll do phone calls and we'll have people overseas or offshore. We're not too far away from people being accepting of, I know I'm chatting with an AI. It's actually really helpful. That's coming soon at some point. So
well, you're preaching to the choir, because that's what I've been saying. I mean, I tell lawyers, don't do what you do. A lot of lawyers with the internet, they just kind of, oh, that's just a fad, Now, AI is here to stay. In fact, it's just going to get better. Every 2 months, something new. It's like, I've never seen something grow so fast in my life.
It's incredible.
The microchip. It's just going to change everything. The microchip did, in my opinion. And I think between this and offshore, if you can't make money practicing law, something's wrong with you now. Really. Because seriously, because that's just going to make you more efficient. And it's got so many things now that are helping with the marketing too. Analytics, the videos, the voiceover stuff every day. It's crazy.
Well, and the interesting thing, a lot of the folks, like let's say paralegals, intake folks, they might be worried, oh man, AI is going to take my job. But I tell people, no, the AI is going to do the admin stuff. It's going to do the tasks. That way you can get on the phone with clients. That way you can email clients back. You can communicate with people better and add more value as opposed to spending an hour entering data.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
It's not going to say, okay, that took your job. It's going to give you more of an opportunity to add value.
Yeah, I think it's going to make you more efficient. I think you'll be able to get 10 times more than what we're doing the same amount of time work.
Yep.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to get up with you, Jon, how's the best way?
I would say LinkedIn is probably where I'm most active. So Jon Cumberworth, Jon. You can email me at jcumberworth@actingexecutives.com. But LinkedIn is probably where I spend a lot of my time.
Okay, good deal. Well, listen, I appreciate it. You're doing a good service out here. People, you owe it to yourself. If you're having problems getting to that next level, 2 things I would tell you to do: join PILMA and call Jon.
There you go.
All right.
Appreciate it, Ken.
All right. Take care. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.